Happy Sunday, everybody. It's been requested that we go through the basic teachings of A Course in Miracles. And so we'll go through that today just so everybody gets an idea of like where this call really comes from and how it's supported me in my life, and it really started when I was at a really low point in my life. Um, as it does for a lot of people, when you hit rock bottom, spirit and God kind of starts to talk to you. We are not recording per se on here, but you will be able to find it on like the YouTube channel and stuff like that. So kind of recorded, I guess. All right, let me let people in. Hang on. Okay. So just so everybody can see, this is the book, A Course in Miracles. It's not a very easy read, especially when you first start. Now, the concepts and the teachings in here are very simple. They're very simple, and but because our minds are, the course says that our minds are twisted because we actually don't completely know exactly what it is that we want at any given moment. See, it changes because oftentimes we'll say, okay, well, now I want to make sure that, all I really want is to be able to pay my bills. And then once we pay our bills, we're like, well, I just want this. I want a little bit of I want something nicer, right? It's not just the minimum anymore. And we keep wanting more and more and more. So the reason why we're confused and are conflicted is because everything that we think we ever wanted and we thought that it would produce some sort of outcome for us, that, oh, if I finally just get it, then I will stop complaining, or if I finally just get that, then I'll feel more financially secure, or you know I'll be at peace with it. But see, peace is what we really want, and we forget that from moment to moment. So when we look for the things outside, like, see, peace comes from the inside. It's an inside job. Peace of mind. And cars, money, houses, status, relationships, those are things outside. And oftentimes my wife and I got her permission to use a lot of these things that I use in our relationship. Because she's just such an amazing supporter. Um, but she would say, I wish you just did this and then I would be happy. If you did more of this, right? If we did more eye gazing, then I would, that's what I wish. I'm like, really? That's what you wish? And this is the type of oh no, sorry. And she would say, I always try to do a lot of this so that maybe I'll get this in return. And I'm like, ooh, that is exactly what the course actually warns us about in the way that we give. Right? We give so that we hopefully will get something in return. I'm giving so that maybe I'll get some acknowledgement, some recognition, you know, rather the course is saying, um, can you give from a place of just give, right? Like you're giving to a baby and expect nothing in return. So I'll go over some of the like the principles of the course and how we can use it in our everyday life and how we can apply it to our financials and really all the challenges and any place in our life that we lose our peace with. It could be your spouse, it could be a relationship, it could be a real estate deal, it could be your partners, it could be you know, your spouse at home, your kids. It's all the same. They're different forms of the same problem that shows up for us. Right? If you have scarcity in your thoughts, in your thinking, you will see it all around in all the different things. You will see that life is a competition, that when somebody else does something, it seems like if they start succeeding, then it might take away something from me. So if it's, then this happens often at jobs, like in W-2 jobs and in corporate jobs, where when one person accelerates and gets promoted, everybody kind of starts with, oh, maybe I should have, right? How come they do and I didn't? Instead of genuinely want to celebrate for somebody else, like, celebrating others. Now we could train our minds to do that. That's what the course is saying. That we don't have to even spend a moment to guilt or shame ourselves when we do that, right? Like, even though you're learning it, we're learning the application and the principle of it. It does not mean that we should linger. Like, if we do it, we're like, oh man, I did it again. Instead of attacking ourselves and guilting ourselves, we can do what the course says. It's forgiveness. Forgiveness is probably the most important tool that the course teaches us. Okay, and it's not really forgiveness in the way that we have it in the world. It's forgiveness that the course teaches, um, that it releases your past and allows you to move forward with a clear mind. Okay, with a new space, with spirit, with faith, with trust. And we can apply this forgiveness to all of our financial issues, because let's face it, our world, most problems stem from financials, from money, because it is weaved into every aspect of our lives. It is so weaved in there that all of our traumas come with it too. And since it's a part of all of our lives, every single one of us has some sort of, like, trauma around money, or mistakes from the past, or debt, or something that you've made that has, kind of shaped you to be the person you are today. Whether you're completely trusting or you're completely skeptical about everything, either way, you've brought a past to the moment. And we've imprisoned our future because we operate from past. So the course says we have to practice forgiveness, or sometimes we call it a clearing, right? Clearing of the past, which is the course states, forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did has not actually happened, has not occurred. See, that is a challenge. That's a direct challenge to our ego. And sometimes we don't really want to hear it. What do you mean? They did screw me over. They did talk behind my back. They did this. They did that. They did it. Um, and so through forgiveness, can we let go of our past? And so here is a couple principles of the course that we'll focus on today as an introduction to this conversation. And then we'll open it up for some questions and comments. Okay, so the first the outline that I put on paper, um, really is the power of our mind. And I think this is becoming a thought system that we are all kind of, some of us are like, "Ooh, yeah, I really like that concept." But it's kind of like an old concept now, even though it's new age, but it's kind of like an old, like, yeah, we get it. We get it. It's the secret, right? Like, what you want, you can call into your life, but it is actually true. See, concept versus you actually having an experience around it is miles apart in difference. Right? When we understand concepts, we tend to judge it. We tend to judge the concept, and then we tend to go into the I already know. But living it and having experiences around it and letting life unfold for you as you're going through the learnings of that, um of truly the power of the mind. So the course has a quote that says, what was it in lesson 122? 132. I don't want to butcher it. One sec. It is essential to have a positive mindset towards money and abundance. So the quote in the course in the lesson 132 says, "There is no world apart from what you wish, and herein lies your ultimate release." And so this phrase right here can go as deep as you want it to go. There is no world apart from what you wish. You can dust it off your shoulders like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Sounds like a great thing to say, and here it lies in your ultimate peace, release. But when you really contemplate this, if you spend 5-10 minutes every day contemplating that there is no world apart from what you wish, that means what's happening in your life right now, every single little tiny detail of it is not apart from what you actually wish. Now, if there are conflicts and challenges and those things coming up, how can we view it in such a way that it really is, this is what I wish, right? So, quick example, if you wanted to be wealthy, then wouldn't it make sense that the universe says, oh, so if you want to be wealthy, you got to learn the principles and the traits of how to be wealthy, right? That means you're going to have to fall so many times. That means people are going to challenge you. People are going to challenge you, situations are going to challenge you, and then how can you see that as the universe or God saying, "Here you go. This is what you need to learn in order to become wealthy, in order to have what you wish you want, what you wish for." See, that means every single step and every person and everything that happens is happening for you. Now, there's another cliche quote that it doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. Great cliche, great concept until it lands for us. And then all of a sudden it has new meaning, right? It's it's kind of like when I remember when I was when I first broke up with my first love in my life, right? All of a sudden, every single song had more meaning. Every single movie had more meaning. I was like, "What? Are they like writing to me? Are they singing to me? Is this what happened to them that they would sing a song like this, with these lyrics, speaking directly to me?" Right? Otherwise, we just kind of repeat and sing the songs and have no connection to it. See, that's what the course teaches us, is to really begin to consciously bring connection to all the things that you do, connecting all the dots in our lives. Every single person is a dot that gets to be connected to something else. Every event is connected. We just don't see where it's connected moving forward, right? That if being wealthy is what I want, then how do I move it forward? Yes, Lanka, at some point can discuss what happens when depression and anxiety are heavy and palpable, like a real physical experience in ACIM again. Okay. So this goes a little bit deeper, right? This is now we're talking about the mindset. Hmm. We're talking about the mind and how to shift the mind and practicing forgiveness in the mind. Now, this is one of the biggest challenges that course students and people reading the course go through, is when you attach your body to your trauma, right? That something was actually done to you. See, it's easy for us to say, oh, someone says you're stupid, or you can't sing, or you can't dance, or you can't, whatever we carry with. You're never going to be a salesperson. You'll never make this team. You'll never be a good basketball player. Those are just words that are attacked, right? But see, that attack, the course says, is really no different than having your body attacked. See, this is very challenging for the ego, because the ego seeks to preserve the only weapon that it has that will keep you in this world and enslaved to materialism and to separation, is that this body is real. And the Course says that every one of us is going to learn at some point in our lives that you are not your body. That every attack that happened, whether it's just verbal or physical, did not happen the way that you thought it did. Because we don't know what's really happening, right? We as a separate body from everyone else can see, ooh, this is an attack on me, right? And it's going to be hard for the ego to understand this part because it's going to challenge. No, I can touch my body. It does exist here. But haven't we had dreams that literally will put us into sweats? We'll have our body go into certain reactions and we wake up feeling the fear or feeling whatever, that the dream was so real. We couldn't even tell the difference. Like, man, that dream was real. And then we actually start to see something in our lives that reflect that dream. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What now my reality is kind of getting challenged a little bit. With that happened in the dream, and then all of a sudden it happens out here in the physical world. Oh, I must have some sort of talent or something. Right. But see, the Course is saying that the entire thing is a dream. That these coincidences that happen in our lives, these miracle moments that show you that all things are actually interconnected. And there is no time, there is no space, and it's just always happening. But since we put an attach meaning to everything, see, we are the meaning making machines. Everything is an interpretation. And if it's an interpretation, it is an illusion that we have made up. This is going to be kind of hard for a lot of people to hear. And this is where most people will probably kind of check out because it gets uncomfortable. It's not an attack on you. It's a realization of the real you, the capital U, that is beyond the limitations you've put on yourself as a body, as an idea, as an identity of who you are. All of that is limited to what you truly are and what your potential truly is. So going through anxiety, depression. Now, I'm not saying that they aren't real, that it isn't happening. It is happening on the surface. But why it's happening, that is up to God. And the best way that you can actually help somebody is not to play into that story. Right? You know how some people, therapists always kind of create the best results. Like, I think Mariam was doing one of her speeches and she was like, I felt closer, or my partner started going to therapy, and he in the middle of a fight, he said that he felt closer to the therapist than with me. And it isn't because it isn't the body. It isn't about having physical closeness. See, we also confuse that. Oh, if we just physical touched more, if we made love more, if we had, if this happened more, right? Then I would feel closer to you. But how come people feel so close to their therapist when there is not even any sort of that type of relationship happening? Right? Because the therapist isn't playing your story. The therapist is allowing your story to come out so you can hear it. Therapists are being, a clear space so that transformation and healing can happen. So for you to support others, right? Let's say you see somebody is always complaining, or somebody is, they're operating from scarcity all the time, or they're always in attack. All that shows, okay, everything that we see, we need to look back to, why do I even see that? See, the problem isn't out there. The problem is in my mind, my inner world. I'm having a problem with what's going on in this outer world, and it's making me lose my peace. And sometimes the way that I deal with it is just to say, if I just keep my mouth shut, If I don't say anything, then it's fine. But you can't. It's going to come out because you believe it and you think it. And here's the thing. We can't help it but to be teachers all the time. We will teach through our actions. We will teach through our words. We will teach through our little smirks, whatever way that you're going to show how you feel, it is going to come out. And that's why this body of work is so important for me, as it serves as a vehicle, as a tool to remember that the world is not an attack on me, that people are not an attack on me, and it's just the way that I see it. And now I get to look at it. And one of the people that comes on this call a lot, or used to, wrote in the ACIM chat and was like, oh, one of my favorite things was the conversation of projection makes perception. And everybody loves this because once you get it, you're like, ooh, that's a really, really great line that can remind me all the time. Projection makes perception. Every time we look to life for our salvation, we look to other people for our happiness, or we blame others for our sadness or where we are or what's going on. Anytime we blame outside, that verse right there is reversed. See, perception, I perceived it, and that's why I'm projecting. I am a victim, and I can't help it. That's really what's going on. Now, the ego's like, block half of that. You're just a victim, and you should be sympathized with, and you get value for being a victim. See, the ego blocked half of that equation, so we don't see that. But what we see is that, ooh, if I just complained a little more, or I acted like a victim more, or I gossiped about somebody, or I talked, or I judged someone, I attacked somebody, that makes me feel more powerful. See, because we think we get something out of those things. That's why bullies bully. Because there is a hurt inside. There's something going on inside that's causing them to project and lash out. And the ego will say, it's okay that you're doing this because this happened to you. Right? Because some story justifies why you're lashing out and projecting. Now, if we can remember, projection makes perception. That means what's real in my mind is a reason why I can even perceive anything back. And that's the truth of it. The power of the mind really is all right here, is that projection makes perception. And it's so funny because a lot of people, when they try to read like say this line back, they always say, oh, perception makes projection. I'm like, no, it's not. Even when you don't really know the line, you say it incorrectly, because it's just the way that we've been wired, that we are okay to blame the world for everything that goes on. And so not only do we blame the world for our pains, but we also give credit to the world for all of our happiness. And in that, we have this is how we limit ourselves, as this infinite potentiality of spirit that is each one of us, that has unlimited potential. We've limited ourselves by projection makes perception. That we've given all of our power to everything out there. And so, of course, we walk around like the world is after us, right? This is not, oh man, my dog is one of my greatest teachers. Okay. All of the dogs I've had in my life, my greatest teachers to this day, still teaching me. Because they just do. They're just like, yep, this is what we do. I live fully into being a dog every day. Every moment's a new moment. I'm hungry right now. I'm thirsty right now. I gotta piss. I gotta shit. I love you. Boom. That's it. Right? What I feel right now, I'm doing. And we try to limit them. We try to train them, yell at them, punish them, and they still come at you with all the love, Oh man, sorry. I just took a crap on your floor, but I really had to go, right? I couldn't wait till you came out to take me to the bathroom, and we get upset at the dog. We get upset and then we blame them like, oh my God, you can't just learn. Like, no, not a human being, bro. So, I have these conversations with myself, like my dog is in there, So anyways, so the power of the mind rests in understanding that projection makes perception. See, the Course also says if God's on your mind or if love is on your mind, then that's all you're going to see. That means when you don't see love, when you don't see God, you must have something else on your mind that is a limitation. The Course says we have put it on an altar. There is an altar that is our mind. There's an altar in there. And what we put on the altar will ultimately determine the way that we see how dangerous the world is. And do we need to lash out and attack the world so that we may be a little bit, so we can set ourselves apart? It's like, ooh, no, that's not a good behavior. So I'm going to talk smack about it. And all that. And what that does is it makes me, I perceive myself to be greater than the problem. When we all know that's not going to happen, right? You just became a part of it. Your attack, see, most of our attacks and our problems come from, we think it's other people's problems, right? Like if we attack somebody for, let's say, okay, so Mother Teresa, right? There's a great saying that Mother Teresa, they were asking her to come and stand against the war, right? To oppose the war, like come rally with us. And she's like, no, I will not go against the war or that propaganda, but let me know when there's a rally for peace. You see, to the ego, that's the same thing. Against war and for peace is the same thing to the ego, but it isn't. It's worlds apart. When you're against war and you go up against it and you start creating rallies and all these things, all you're doing is creating another war. It's a different form of the war. It's the reason why wars began in the first place. That there's a disagreement in the viewpoint. But for peace is completely different. And so how can we apply that to our lives today? What are you judging against? Right? What do you think is good behavior, bad behavior, and your part, and how are you participating in the exact conflict that you are having a problem with? That's the question of the day. How are we participating in the exact problem, right, that we are facing? Okay, pause there for a moment. Anybody? What's up? Welcome. Anybody want to ask anything, add anything to the conversation so far? See, sometimes on these types of calls, we fall into the student role, I guess. How the world has the student role. That means we're just going to sit and listen, and we don't become a part of the teaching. See, there's a teaching happening, and we are all dancing around this fire of this teaching. The role of student and teacher gets mixed up all the time. The student becomes a teacher in one moment, vice versa, and it just keeps happening. And that's what's going on always. It just seems like right now I'm the one speaking around the fire, but we are all teachers equally here. Hey, Magena. Okay, after you, yeah, okay, you and then Lenka. Hey.
I apologize. I am on a cell phone, and I'm not sure if anyone else raised their hands. I can't see anything.
No, you're good. You're good.
Awesome. Don't want to interrupt the order. um, I bought the book. I haven't started reading it yet, but I'm curious to know two things.
Mm-hmm.
did you find the book or did it find you? And also,
Is there a difference?
well, pretty much. Maybe you've heard someone else speak about it and you're curious and you picked it up, or that's just, it's not a very deep question. I'm just curious how you came across this particular book. And also, second question, um, why did you decide to actually create a Zoom and take all of us with you in this beautiful journey? Like, is there something, did you see that we all needed it, or was it because you needed it and you loved it so much and you wanted to share it with the rest of us? I'm just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. So, like, the answer used to be, and this is the journey I'm on, I used to think I could serve others. Then I quickly realized on these Zoom calls that I'm really, because I need it. That's why there's never a difference. What you need is what the world needs. There is no, so like when those types of questions, like those are, we have conflicting questions like that all the time. It's like, wait, is it you or is it me? Is it the teacher or the student? Like, did you find it or did it find you? That's the split mind that we have. Like, it could be a different answer. Now, to answer on a worldly level, right, of our world, I guess it found me because somebody told it to me. It was like, hey, you're going through this. I think you should pick up the book, you should read it, and an invitation to it. So in a sense, it found me. But because the fact that I would even get into a state of kind of depression and being really down, maybe I found it. Maybe I called to it so that it would even be there. Maybe myself and whoever had the same question that wrote this, that scribed this, we connected energetically at different time frames. And this was meant to serve each other. See, we just, it's about connecting the miracles of spirit, of how it transcends time and space and bodies. And that all of us can have that same thing as we remember a little bit more of who it is that we truly are and what our potentials are and why are things happening the way they are in our lives, or why are they happening the way it's happening in my mind. So let me does that support McGenna? Really, I do this, I think it serves me so much just to have people hold me accountable. One, two, people really enjoy this. I've gotten a lot of amazing feedback about it, and I'm like, yeah, usually I don't even remember what I say on these calls, and I have a problem watching my own replays. So these are just kind of I can't watch it. I know I can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm like, I live in the moment. I can't live in the past by watching a replay. So yeah, that's yeah, I guess we will. That's a question that we get to continue to unfold, I guess. Did it find me or did I find it? I'm gonna just say we found each other at the same exact time. Okay, Lenka. Hello.
Hi, thank you for this call, this topic. And thank you for touching on, the depression and anxiety. I know that in prior calls I mentioned one of my daughters really struggling from depression and anxiety, and it's been it really does run in my side of the family generationally, and it's been a long time since I've really kind of experienced anything that kind of wouldn't let go.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to share my experience the last 3 or 4 days. I'm feeling a lot better today, but I hit like a type of depression that I haven't. It's been decades since I felt, and there was no amount, like the lack of motivation, the lack of energy, like all the sleeping. There was nothing I could really do. I pulled out my ACIM book. I tried very gentle on myself and try to explore what's underneath it all. How is it that I'm creating this? Why am I creating this? But literally, because even the motivation wasn't there. Like, it was just a deep hole I couldn't claw my way out of. And I did take the opportunity to text my daughter an acknowledgement of what she experiences, a lot, like almost daily. Our expectations, just snap out of it, study ACIM, we're careful not to tell her what to do, but they're deep down, there's still this, come on, Brent, if we can do it, you can do it. And then I realized last few days how can I have these expectations of her when I myself these last few days, there's literally nothing I could do. I just want to share that experience because I still want to explore that because who knows if I'll ever encounter that again. And I'm not sure why that happens and why.
That's the question right there. What is it for? Why did it happen? Why did it happen for me? Right? See, we think it's in those times where we feel extremely depressed and down. And I can recall where I was when I was at rock bottom, and it actually ended up having a lot to do with my financial position at that time. It caused a lot of depression. Now, financial position versus your position with your work, your spouse, your kids, it's all the same form. It's different forms of the exact same thing. The same lack that was feeling, the same shame, the same guilt, all of that stuff coming up. And here is what it is. The Course says we're actually tired. Okay, we're tired, and this is where the depression's happening. We're tired of going after things and thinking that if that happened, then I would be finally free. If my daughter stopped experiencing what she's experiencing, then I would finally be free. If we just got double our income, then I would be free. Right? If I could do this, then I would be happy. So we chase after that so much. And that's why we end up paralyzed in bed and not being able to function sometimes, because we spent so much energy chasing after things only to be let down time and time again. Everything that we put on the altar, every idol we ever had has let us down. Because none of those things belong on the altar. That's the thing. That's what we're tired of. Putting one thing on there and having it fail us, putting another thing on there and having it fail us. And the Course says that the rest that you are looking for is not in sleep, but in awakening. Awakening is in having an awakening of yourself. And then all of a sudden, I say this all the time, Christ's stamina comes. Christ's stamina comes through you, and all of a sudden you're inspired. See, we have moments of inspiration. We have to look to why were we even inspired right there? And my next question is, when you sent that message to your daughter, what happened afterwards? Because you're like, I finally get what you've been going through.
Well, because it was in text, she responded, "Thank you." So I haven't seen her yet. So I can't answer that. And part of it, as you were talking today, I thought as you were talking earlier about depression and everything, I thought, did I just keep her in a victim, but by acknowledging how hard it is?
Well, yeah. So again, what is that? What is it for? Why are you having this experience? What did you reach out for? Right? It's about the relationship. There is every human being, in order for us to step out of any struggles that we're going through, what we ultimately want is peace. But what we want here in this world, what the ego and spirit kind of wants together, is to be seen. I want to be seen and not be judged for what I'm going through. I want to be seen for the things that I'm doing, right? The intentions behind what I'm doing, not just the work itself, because sometimes we intend to do something great and other people perceive it as something else. Right? There is haters about this call that I'm doing right now. And if somebody attacks me, I mean, people attack me on social media all the time. That took a little bit. Those were teaching the lessons. The bigger and the more you try to do, the more lessons are available to you. But this is why it's so important to be grounded in your faith and spirituality. And this is the entire course is talking about trusting in the abundance, trusting in the healing, trusting in the flow. There is no healing, actually. To the universe, to God, healing does not need to happen because nothing's even wrong. But to us, everything's wrong. You know, people eat meat, people don't eat meat. We're destroying the environment. Who cares about the environment? You know, all the stuff. We literally find ourselves in division about every single possible topic that human beings can think of. Because our minds are divided. It's not because any problems need to be solved. See, like I went to the Colorado River. Like when I'm in nature, a lot of times I think about the beauty of nature. When I was in Peru, I was like, the perfection of nature is ridiculous. Like how everything works in perfection with the animals, with the grass, with the flowers, with the trees, this rock being right here. Like everything is so in perfect order and everything is just being itself. Like it rained a lot here in Nevada this year. Okay. The waters they actually had the waters raised by 7 feet this year in Lake Mead and the dams. So at one point it was full of grass. It was really green, just a little bit of water. All of a sudden, the entire valley that was all desert and rock turned just completely green, like it was Colorado for like 1 week. And very quickly, the sun came back out and burned, and everything died. Nobody's crying for the grass that died. You know, nobody's like the other plants or the cactuses there aren't saying, "Oh man, I wish we had more grass around us." You know, life just goes on, and the cycle of things coming and going and coming and going, it is always an expansion. It is always an experiment, right? And that is how human beings are too. Can we begin to see that? Now, I'm not saying to just renounce the world and have no attachments, right? Don't let things like, what's the point of attachments? What's the point of going through the depression? What's the point of these things happening for me? We can look at those things like we have been given a mind that can go through and communicate that and think about it and have critical thoughts around it. But all of this critical thoughts and this confusion that we create for ourselves actually ends up being very simple. It just is. And the power and God, that and whatever universal intelligence that's running the entire thing knows what it's doing, or at least knows better than you on what it's doing. Right? We don't know what the whole plan is, but can we trust in the flow? Can we trust in the depression that I feel right now? Can I trust in any challenges that I feel right now? Can I trust, my kid being, a certain way, or my dog being a certain way? That it's all part of the beauty of this trusting in the abundance, that we are all deserving of abundance and there is enough for everyone. See, that's the second thing that the Course says, coming to peace, is that there is always enough for everyone. Let's relate that to money, because that's not what everyone thinks. Everyone thinks that all the big corporations, institutions got it all, and we missed out. We got our $600 checks and they gave us that, and that's it. But there is enough. You just got to go create it. You got to claim it. You got to call it that, hey, it's mine. And we got to trust in the universe and have faith that all the resources that we will ever need, anytime, will always be provided. And that everything is ours for the asking. See, we're like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know if we should ask. See, I have a friend also that has been helping me out and going through some financial hardships. And I know that they were kind of, their bank accounts are in the negatives and they're like scraping by and waiting to get their next check. And they're like, and I feel, and I know this feeling when I couldn't even, I had to decide between making like cup and noodles type of thing or like eating something that I really wanted to eat. Like, of course I would want to eat something else out, something yummy, but I was like, oh man, I'm financially constrained right now and I got to do this. And I know that. And as we we chase after money and we've been let down over and over and over again, of course we're going to be exhausted and tired. And Lenka, for you, maybe it's what is the conflict and the war that you've been having, that you've exerted so much energy doing, that is causing the tiredness, that your body literally shuts itself down and says, nope, you're not going to go and make meaning of nothing right now. Like, why would you go? Why would it go there? And then we begin to and then and oftentimes the coming out of that is the reaching out to people that, oh my God, now I finally understood something, and you become more compassionate because you just went through something. And now when people are going through it, you can feel it. You can connect to it. We become more human. That's why we go through what we're going through, so that we may level with our brothers and sisters out there. That we begin to judge a little bit less. So who is this relationship pointing you to truly connect with, that you guys see each other? What's the conflict? And we all have the couple people in our lives that are just always conflicts. Right? We all got that. Who's the person that's always conflicting and challenging what you're doing and your ideas and all of that? It's probably someone that's close to you. That you're like, man, I got all these problems with this person. It's probably your mom, probably your sister, So, yeah, Natalia, go ahead, my friend. Hey, Elise, welcome.
So many things came in and then they were. I'm like, okay, new moment.
My question was 10 minutes ago. It's gone. Now I got to come up with a new question. Go ahead.
I guess I was really present through the conversation and what everybody was sharing. And I've had a similar experience as Lenka was speaking and sharing. Thank you for sharing. And what came up for me was in being in the question of what is this for that's happening. The answer was that I experienced a level of compassion towards another human being that I hadn't before. And at first I thought, oh, okay, I can understand now, but there's no need to understand. But it took me back to compassion and forgiveness of the other person, forgiveness towards myself for the judging of the other person. So it just always went back to forgiveness and compassion. So that was one. And then another thing I wanted to say was, which is all in the same, really. When I first started, when the book found me and I found the book, it was for the same reason for which this person started channeling and writing it. There's got to be another way, which goes back to the same thing you know, when experiencing these moments of frustration, anger, depression, you know, looking at my bank account and not wanting, you know, not being where I want it to be, or a deal going through the way that I wanted the deal to go through, and really understanding that. And I guess I don't know where I'm going with it, but yeah, it's like going back to that question of what is this for? And then knowing that and trusting God overall. But yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
And I have a question for you.
Okay.
Sometimes I've caught myself, or I've noticed myself, going too much into the mind. Does that happen? And how can you recognize it? Like going too much into the analytical mode, like, okay, what is this for? And then kind of like looking and then finding myself going in the loophole of like, you know, going down the spiral. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. We all get stuck in that. The loop of just going into the mind. But see, that's the thing. And when you're in the mind, you actually lose focus of all the things that are outside. You can't pay attention to both. Right? You're like, oh yeah, I was deep in my thoughts, and like, you know, a dolphin swam by, I didn't even see it. Right? So like we don't even see the world. We can literally have our eyes open, we can hear, and we can walk down the street and have no idea how we got from point A to point B because we were in our minds. Now, I'm always saying that this moment will teach you everything you need to know about this moment. The overthinking about it in your mind is a conditioning that we've done, that as if we thought about it more and more, the answers will come. The answers actually come in the moment. Like you might be struggling about something, and then all of a sudden, if you're present enough, life's literally showing you the answers right in front of you. Jessica and I actually just talked about that yesterday, of how we struggle and we think and we stress and we do all of that, and the answer's right there in front of your face. The answer is often right there. The Course says that the moment that the problem could be thought, the answer's already there. Yeah. Hi.
Just to jump into what you were just saying, when she was saying that she catches herself always in her mind, and then you follow it up with see, to me, it's like I feel like I have to be present. I have to think myself out of being in my mind. Like it's just not a natural state that comes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what's the definition of insanity? Not the one that you're thinking right now. Is actually the thinking or the mind that gets you into this state is not the same thinking and the same mind that can get you out of it. Like that's the problem right there. We think that we got ourselves into the problem with our thinking. And we think if we thought enough of it out, then the answers would come.
That really landed.
The answer is gonna come either way, right? Oftentimes it just comes with a realization, but it had nothing to do with your thinking. You went down different rabbit holes and all of that, and none of it really. There's a moment something happens, and you're present to the moment, and all of a sudden it's the thought came. If you sat and did nothing, thoughts will come, right? They're hinting towards something. But if you're forcing thoughts and you're breaking it down, you're going back down the rabbit hole of how you got here. What will most likely happen for us, because we get into an unconscious thinking state, right? Like our humanness is incredible. How much things that we can do on automatic is crazy. Right? The fact that we need to breathe in order to live, and that we can breathe at the same time as thinking and doing the dishes and being on this call and speaking and all of this at the same time is incredible. How much the body can operate on automatic. Your mind can also operate on automatic.
Well, I'm so glad that she brought this up because maybe I have been missing something this whole time. Like you mentioned earlier, the depression. Well, what is it really for? And to me, that requires, to me, being present means thinking. Because if you're having thoughts that are even subconsciously negative, or you're holding some belief system that is harming you or holding you back, like, how do you get to that point of peace if you're not contemplating and being present, which to me involves thinking? And maybe I've got this all wrong.
I don't know. Maybe you got it right. I have no idea. There are different moments that probably calls for different things. Maybe reflecting and thinking is the thing to do right now, but this moment will tell you about it. And that's what I'm getting at. Like, even the thinking, can you be thinking in this moment and not in the past? Like, that's the rabbit hole that we go down. Is like when we start thinking, when we think, okay, here's the thing. Let's have conscious thinking and unconscious thinking. Right? Conscious thinking is recognizing and being able to see my thinking. Which teacher is it following? Right? Because if you go down the egoic teaching, then it will be about separation. It will be about what's done to me. What could I have done? I'm a victim to this. So there's thinking like that's automatic. And then there's a thinking that brings you closer to God, to the flow of life. Like, oh, what is it calling for me to do right now? There must be another way to do something. See, that thinking, the conscious thinking, is to consciously bring your mind to the alignment of God. And oftentimes that comes through prayer. See, that level of thinking is different from the blame, the judgments, from those types of thinkings. So, yeah, I guess conscious thinking versus unconscious thinking. I don't know if that's a thing out there, but let's just say we made it up together. And yay, Claudia, I want to hear what you have to say.
Good morning, Alex.
Good morning.
Great conversation today. Thank you, brother, so much. I just wanted to speak into the thinking and being present. And I wanted to share a quick thing you can do to actually bring yourself out of your mind into the present moment. And I do believe that you can be thinking in the present moment, but even thinking takes effort, right? It's like you're still using energy to, okay, what are my thoughts going to be, right? When like you're in that space. So one quick thing that you can do is you use your senses. So you notice, you start with your sight and just notice the room. And this is an exercise that's been shared in other trainings. It's called present moment awareness. So just bring your attention out. Just notice. Right now you can do it. Just see what objects you're seeing, what shapes. Look at the shadows. Notice the colors. So just use your sense of sight. And then now add sound. What sounds are you hearing in the room? The sounds that your body is making. The sounds of your breathing. And then touch. Just notice the surface that you're maybe touching with your hands, where you're sitting on. Right? And then just one by one, just bring your senses out and just become present. And you start to notice things you never saw before. And it creates a connection with the present moment and away from the thinking mind that sometimes it's our problem. And one of the things that I love about the, A Course in Miracles is the Holy Spirit, like giving it to Holy Spirit. I feel that for us humans, our liberation is in the letting go. In the letting go that we need to figure out what the answer is. In the letting go that we need to figure out how to solve all of our problems. And of course, there are legitimate problems because we're experiencing them in reality. And Like, I love what you said about at the beginning, Alex. We are infinite potentiality. We're connected to this intelligence that's beyond us, that's moving through us. And when we just let go and let God let go and just let our inspiration guide us, right? We release some of that clenching that the ego does. Like, let me hold on, right? I need to know. I need to plan. I need to, right? We don't have to. We just let go and let the moment inform. Let the next moment inform, right? Where we need to be moved to, what we need to do. And maybe the answer boop, just comes like that in the letting go. So thank you. I just wanted to share that. Great call today. Love to
Oh,
everyone.
yay. Thank you. Thank you for that addition. And I'm definitely going to be practicing and trying that out more today. You know, already, I didn't know the birds were chirping behind me, actually. You know, and that's actually something when I bring myself to the present, I do go outside in my backyard and I listen to the birds and I try to find them through the sound and what they're doing. It's super interesting. If you just follow a bird with your eyes, like at the same time, that they're just like what are they doing? They're literally having a full blown conversation with each other, and like you can make up all sorts of stories too. I'm like, oh, they're having an argument right there, and the bird will literally leave and like, do a little like turn its back on the other bird, like I don't know, stories that we make up, I guess, but it's fun. And I just noticed that. I just noticed the birds in the backgrounds. You were pushing our senses outwards. So thank you.
Exactly. Yes. Just like you, it's amazing because we wake up to life,
Mm-hmm.
right? How much are we missing out because we're in our minds? And it's almost like a tunnel vision, right?
Yeah.
Boom, just here. But when you start to notice, right, there's a peace that comes with that. So I think that's the invitation. This is all coming up, even as I'm sharing it with all of you. It's for me too, right?
Yeah, it's always for ourselves.
It's always for ourselves. Yeah. So thank you. Much love, Alex.
Yeah, much love. Thank you. Yeah. Who else? What other thoughts? That was awesome. It was good to ground into the moment. So speaking of letting go, then cell phone, social media, addiction for me. Well, you're present to something. Like, can you see? When social media has us, when we just go into the auto scrolling, and we're only looking for things that we're not intentional about it. See, when we're intentional about it, social media and the phone is smart enough today to show you what you actually want to see. And then it just comes down to, what is it that I want? Right? If you are seeing conflicts all the time, if you're like battling in political and religious debates and this and all that, yeah, it's going to show it to you all the time. But is it what you want? See, until you are clear about what you want, life's going to give you what you need to see. And sometimes it looks like you need to see more of it. Like, I don't know. What I see all the time on my feed, literally more than anything, is just animal stuff. Like literally tigers, alligators, dogs, cats, like snakes, all sorts of crazy stuff. I watch like it's all that comes up on my feed all the time. You know, anytime there's a shark or an alligator in the beginning of the video, it literally gets me to watch the whole thing. And so many videos do nothing besides, like, they just trick you. They're like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to or watch to the end." And it has like this like, "Oh my god" face, and it's a looping video of nothing happening. I'm like, "Oh my god, you got me." Right? It's kind of like Nick with his voice message, his voice recording for his voice message. Gets me every time. He's like, "Hey." I'm like, "Yo, Nick." And I start talking. It's like, "Oh, leave a message. Bye." I'm like, "Oh my god." Every single time. It gets me.
Alex, it's so weird. I just want to share what happened briefly. And
Yeah,
it actually
please.
created a lot of discomfort for me. But I actually made a TikTok, and it was a political one, and obviously that's what I'm seeing and that's what I'm attracting, and so that's what the algorithms are sending me all over TikTok. But I made a TikTok on some positive bills that passed in Minnesota, and what I did not expect to happen, it got over 1 million views, and then Leslie Jones from Saturday Night Live shared it on her Instagram, and Rosie O'Donnell commented on it. And it was interesting because my kids, who think, I'm just an old nerd mom, was like, "Oh my God, you're an influencer, blah blah blah." But what I was actually experiencing, I went straight to what we've been learning in Course in Miracles. It brought up a ton of fear in me. How easy would be for me to get pulled into that, kind of pressure? Okay, let's create more content now because followers jumped and all this kind of stuff, and it brought up a lot of fear. I'm still feeling it because it just happened. And it's just interesting how I'm trying to be very careful for it not to construct my reality. It happened, and I want to keep it in the past, and it just doesn't feel like a healthy thing to me.
Mm.
And so I just wanted to share that happened, as long as we're talking about social media.
Yeah. So something happened organically for you that is something that everybody wants to happen for them, right? And you talked about something that you are actually passionate about, right? Which is great. I've been saying in the last couple calls that as long as you are passionate about what you're doing, people will come and people will share and you will be seen. Bye, McGenna. But that video, see, when we all of a sudden get all this attention, we have no idea what to do with it. All of a sudden, the fear will drop in too because it's something new. But if we are grounded in our spiritual practice, if we are extremely grounded in our messaging and what message we want to actually get out there, this is an opportunity for you to share your voice and your lessons and become a teacher on a larger scale. Now, you don't have to, but the fact that so many people watched it and it blew up and this and that, and you got, the ears of different people, maybe lean into it, right? Because it's an opportunity that came, but fear blocks our opportunities. And all of a sudden, your kids are going to be like, "Oh my God, you are an influencer." And all the boring conversations that you've been having all of a sudden is interesting now. Right? All of a sudden, what you have to say matters a little bit more. Now, the important thing is, what is it that you have to say? Because touching the lives of 1 million people and touching the lives of one, or the life of one, different form, same thing. And we just got to ground ourselves. So yeah, Claudia's great at helping that happen. Every time we hang out, we get a full Claudia grounding. Let's see. I love watching rescue animals. Nice to see that. Why? Yeah. Right. So any topic, any video, as long as you're passionate about, and I think each one of us gets to find our voice. But what are we doing when we're in that space? It's very easy, very fast to be dragged into the conflict. It's the, what do we call it in transformational work? It's the drift. It's the unconscious drift that people just are attracted to drama and conflict and will drag you into it. Right? Can you just share positive things? And in the face of somebody else attacking you while you're sharing what you think is positive, can you remain composed? Can you not be dragged into that battle? And it's going to be hard. There are comments that people post on my Instagram that I actually have to stop, and it triggers me for a moment, and I just let it go. right? Like my messaging is, I think real estate investing is the most powerful vehicle that you can use to start freeing yourself from money. That's my message. And then somebody else, and somebody that I know too, like attacked me on the post. Was like, tell me the last time that your real estate did 4,000% returns in 2 years, like my Apple stock did or my Tesla stock did. I'm like, there's so much I have to say to this, but I'm just not gonna. And I just ignored it and I didn't say anything. You know, people saying you should be put into jail. It's people like you that is keeping the economy and keeping people poor. You know, anytime, like now I'm like, all right, well, maybe I won't talk about raising rents all that much either, you know, because I got my friends creating conflict. I'm like, all right, let me see how my message can be more inclusive. You know, even though on social media, sometimes you want to be a little controversial to keep it going, but lions don't waste time with sheep. Yeah, well, you know, it's when we confuse a sheep with a lion all the time. Yeah. Cool. Who else? What else? Okay, so some Claudia was mentioning letting go. And it's the letting go of attachments. We have a couple rescue birds. Oh. That's cool. So our attachment is to the material possessions. If we let go of these material possessions, see, our material possessions is what causes fear and anxiety. Oh, that's so cool. All right. Well, we can talk more about animals too. Too bad Love's not on this call. She's not going to let me get another dog, but we'll see. That moment would tell us. So the attachment to our material, like possessions, and I'm gonna say material possessions. Your spouse is also a material possession. Your everything could be like a material possession for you. But the attachments to those things create the fear and the anxiety. You know, so we have to, back to the mindset, cultivate some sort of mindset of detachment. Not like nothing matters, right? Nothing really matters, but you still want to live a fulfilling, impactful life while you're here. So, you know, I think it's to have the most amount of joy points closest to if we're close to our calling and our passion. You know, and the practice of the detachment of these material possessions that they don't have me. Right? The course says, seek not outside yourself, for all your pain comes simply from a futile search for what you want, insisting where it must be found. See, we're like, this is what I want, and I'm gonna insist that this is where I'm gonna find it. And we put so much pressure on our partners, on our kids, on everybody around us. And then ultimately, all that does is puts the pressure back on yourself. See, the problem with projection makes perception is that it is always done back onto you. Any attack, any judgments on anyone will ultimately come back to bite you or to kiss you. Either way. So I'll read that again from what I wrote down. Seek not outside yourself, for all your pain comes simply from a futile search for what you want, insisting where it must be found. See, that last part is for me the goal. Like, we insist that it's got to be from right here. It's got to be from this person. It's got to be from this paycheck. It's got to be from this. All right, I have on my vision board a Lambo that I want to buy. so that I can be a part of the cool car club here in Vegas, so that I can get access to, you know, the funds to buy a building, so I can network, you know, all these things. And I could probably just get one, probably not a smart financial decision for myself, or maybe it is, I don't know. Right? But the story right there, whatever, if it's great or if it's not great, either way, it's it requires this like it requires judgments. Right? We got to decide, is this going to be good? Is it not going to be good? Right? Yeah. And maybe buying it like financially doesn't look so smart to do right now, to put myself in that position immediately. But who knows? Once I get it, maybe it pays for itself. Maybe it makes a whole lot of money. Maybe I meet one person that's going to bring it 10 times that return on the investment on the car, which is always the case. But that requires faith and trust. And I don't yet have the faith and trust to just go and buy it. But now, if I only got like a year left to live, and I'm like, you know, let me just exit everything and buy one of these, and then just go and do whatever I want, I could probably do that. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking myself into right now. I'm just gonna stop right there. Whatever we're talking about, just gonna put that conversation on hold. Because if I come home with one of those, I better have this conversation with love first, with my wife. She's easy to talk into, but you know, when I recklessly do something like that, I'll be like, just go watch the recording of the ACIM from today. All right, where are we going? I'm getting super off topic about something. Oh, the last thing, rent one. You know, I did. I rented a McLaren in Florida, and I really did not like it. I didn't like how loud it was. I did like that a lot of people came up to me. And I'm like, for networking purposes, this makes networking a lot easier. Instead of like trying to like go around begging for them to scan my QR code, they're coming to scan my QR code. They're begging to scan that. So, I do remember that was interesting. Okay, well, time out on this conversation. Or maybe not. I don't know. We're having it for a reason. Let me not get in the way of the flow. See, this is sometimes what I get into my loop is of, oh, I'm going to stop it. Oh, wait, no. I'm getting in my own way. And then I have these, you know, I loop as well. So everybody loops in their own things. And but I think the last point that I wanted to land before we kind of start moving to the end of this is, you know, we talk about taking massive actions, but taking massive actions in the wrong direction is a massive waste of energy. So I always say taking inspired actions. You know, we take inspired actions towards our goals and our dreams. Not just wishful thinking, you know, and not being grounded and not being around the right people. So what is an inspired action? Inspiration, the course says, is always maximal. It is to be accepted wholly and can be received without thanks or with thanks. So can we just receive like the inspiration that comes and then taking actions from that, right? Something will come. Like Lenka, you were going through what you went through, and the inspired action was to message your daughter. See, that is inspired action. Massive action could be confused with just doing something that we think is big. But massive, the word massive itself is an interpretation. Because what's massive today is different for you tomorrow, different for you the day after. So inspired actions. And that could be massive. I don't know. Anyways, I think action is important to take when you feel the calling to it. Right? It's not just to do something because I think something is wrong. And I don't want to bring this I need do nothing conversation up at this stage of our call, but you know, taking inspired actions is moving myself closer to this frequency that literally, if we connected to it, we will always be guided in the right direction with all things in our lives. And then can we live and move with it? Right? Life will call you to do different things. Inspired actions takes courage, takes faith, takes trust. Big on trust. Big on trust. Like so many things that we do, if we can do it with trust, it requires trust, actually. At some point, it requires trust. Fear will hold you in place. Trust will let you take the leap. And where in our lives do we need to take a leap? You know, what have you wanted to say that you have not said? I don't know. Questions for your thinking, I guess. So yeah, as we come to the conclusion of this call, anybody else want to add anything, say anything? A year of miracles. Thanks, Isabel. Thanks for coming. Ooh. Grabbed it, opened it. Seems like a good one to read today. All right. Now that we've had such a great conversation today, I think it's awesome. Inspired in spirit. Yeah. In spirit actions. I like that. Let's use that one. All right. Day 290. This is for reflection. See, for thinking purposes, of course, I flipped to one that's for thinking, for your reflections on what's possible for you now. On the mortal plane, none of us are perfect all the time. But on the spiritual plane, all of us are perfect all the time. Who we really are, perfect creations of God, unchangeable and unlimited. None of us is less brilliant than anyone else, is the most positive self-concept possible. To identify yourself according to your spiritual rather than your material reality is enlightenment. Ooh. To identify yourself according to your spiritual rather than your material reality is enlightenment. From this perspective, you see that you are the light. Yes, you. No thought or condition of darkness, that is, lack of love in your own mind or in anyone else's, has any bearing whatsoever on the truth of who you are or what the universe has planned for you. Your past, your mistakes, other people's opinions about you, even your failure, do not in any way limit who you are and what is possible for you now. Day 290. On what's possible for you now. Everything's possible. All right. Anything else? Any last thoughts? All right. Well, it was an awesome call. Thank you all for your contribution. Everything that you've said, everything you did not say, everything you thought, being on video, not being on video. Thank you all for your presence and for being a witness. Oh, hey.
Hey, I've been listening to every word you guys said. I just wanted to share real quickly. I've been following this work in you for I think it's 4 years now.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, it's been 4 years now, and never has it been so. I'd say the month of May. The month of May has probably been the most challenging month of my entire adult career, bar none. And it got to the point. I got to the point that I was really like the lowest I've seen probably the equivalent of you in that 175 square foot room with your dog. And that's how I got right there before you came down from Jersey. I got to that point. But the difference between now and what I would, if I would have gone through this 4 years ago, is that I have had a rock solid faith. I don't even know where it came from. Well, I know it came from. It came from doing this work for so long. But at no point, no matter how, it's like there's just one thing, God, it just got it was like a rabbit hole. It just kept on getting worse and worse. And I'm like, I'm back again. I wouldn't ask how about again. I'm like, what is this for? What is this for? What is this happening? What is happening for me? What's my lesson here? And I never lost the faith. I'm like, this is going to be part of the biggest comeback story ever for me. I just kept on with those thoughts and doing the same things I've been doing. And just from one day to the next, everything just opened up in a way that is freaking amazing for me, amazing. And I just want to encourage anybody, whoever's going through anything, man, just keep showing up, keep that faith in it, because I have never had such unfaltering faith as I have right now, especially seeing how my life just turned around and in less than a week, everything turned around for me. So, this works.
Yeah. Amazing. And our entire journey, all of us, is everything that's happening is really, on some level, we can say, bringing us closer to being able to hear hear spirit, hear God's voice that you can trust. We're just deepening our faith. We're moving through the ranks of faith, of our beliefs, really our trust in life. And the further you are away from it, the more depressed you'll feel, the more down and anxious you'll feel. And the closer you are, all of a sudden everything is working in your favor. It's always working out, because that's the only possibility that's happening.
Yeah, and while I was going through the very deepest part of it, the only thing I kept on asking God is, okay, what is this showing me? Show me the way. Open it up. Open my eyes. Just open my eyes so that I could see what you're trying to show me, because I knew there's a way He was trying to show me, and that He had to close off every other way in order for me to finally see the way that I needed it to go, and He did it in an incredible way.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, it's funny. People always say this, how every conversation is relevant to what I'm thinking or experiencing. I don't know. It just comes through. I mean, we're called to a certain place. So did I find you, or did this call find you, or did you find this call? Right? Let's go back to that question that we can think about forever. Yeah. Because, people that aren't on this call probably just didn't need to hear it. And then people that jump, sometimes there's a crazy amount of people on this call. And then sometimes there's actually never been none. So that's pretty awesome. 4 years. All right. Yeah.
It's just you and me, though. There was one time when it was just you and me.
Yeah, there was. See, you're never alone. None of us are ever alone. Are you sure you need the Lamborghini to access the network? I probably not, right? Some shit I made up. I'm just lazy. I want to show up instead of going to other people's cars. I want them to come to my car. Anyways, all right. Enough of that before I leave here and go pick up a Lamborghini and come home before my wife wakes up. All right. You guys are amazing. Thank you all. We talk very soon.